Hello there, Peppermint Pals. In this video, I am using a watercolor confection set from Art Philosophy by Prima. This is the complexion set, and it includes 10 different watercolor pans that you can use to make skin tones, as well as a black and a metallic gold. I'm really glad I found this set. I actually found it through Doodle Date. They did a video of it. This is a really helpful watercolor set for me because I have a hard time getting the right skin tones in watercolor, especially lighter skin tones. You may have seen I did have a video on mixing skin tones with acrylic, which I seem to be very good at, but for some reason I could never quite get watercolors right. So this is a very helpful set for me. In addition to having just the straight hues of the skin tones, you can also mix and match them. As a way to test out the different colors, I made a bunch of different faces of my characters. I tried to get a vast variety of the characters so that I could try out different skin colors from the palette and mixing them in different ways. You may recognize some of these characters from previous videos or from my Instagram, and you may notice that the two in the bottom middle do not have a name yet because I have not figured out a name for them. They are both fairly recent. So at this point, if I talk about them any further in this video, I will just be referring to them as No Name Guy and No Name Girl. The pen that I am using to outline the faces on this drawing is a Pigma Micron 05. It's in a red-brown color ink. I thought this brownish color ink would be pretty good for doing skin tones because it's a brown itself. It'll also help the lines look a little bit more natural and help the colors fade into them. You may notice Allie's eyebrows have disappeared. I didn't like how they looked. You may have noticed they kept getting kind of darker and thicker, and that was because I didn't get them in the right sort of expression that I wanted. So I took some white ink and sort of overlaid it over her eyebrows, and I'm waiting for it to dry. So I actually take a while. I don't do the faces necessarily in order, because I start out with the first two, but then of course I skip over her while I wait for that ink to dry. That card I just brought down is a little cheat sheet for me so I can remember which skin color paints I want to use on which character. Later I end up writing what I use underneath their name on the picture. I try and use colors from the palette as much as possible. I may use some of the other colors for eyes. When I use a black, I use the black from this palette. And I've also used the pinkier flesh tone for blush. When I was in high school, once a week I would take a private art class, and it's actually pretty much where I started learning watercolors. And one thing my teacher told me when I was learning watercolors was patience and layers. And I definitely felt that in this piece. I had to patiently wait for something to dry and then layer over it with more color. For example, here with Carmen, of course, with her vitiligo, I first start with the lighter skin color and then I wait for that to dry and go in with the darker one. But even with some of the ones that had the same color, I had to keep basically waiting for the layer to dry so I could add another layer for more shadows and just to get the proper skin tone, because, you know, I started out light. And the only one I'm really not satisfied is Boaz, who I'm painting here. He was the only one I never quite got the color I wanted, but I think in all it worked out really well, and it was fun to paint, and I think it looked good. Now I've written in the different skin tones that I have used. If there is a plus, that means I actually mix the two skin tones together like on a palette. But if there's an and, such with Carmen, it just means that I used the two skin colors separately for obvious reasons. The No Name Girl has the Peach Cobbler, which is pretty much the lightest tone, but it's watered down quite a bit because she is supposed to be albino. I tried to use, in fact I made sure to use every skin color on the palette as a skin tone. The only ones I didn't use were, of course, the gold and the black, and I did end up using those for hair. The pink is almost too pink, but I did use it for Glinda because she has actual pink skin, like not like a pinkish peach color, but an actual pink skin, so I thought it would be perfect and great to include her. And I also used the gold for her hair just to make it more magical. Her hair is just normal blonde, but I just thought it would be fun to use the gold. Now, like I said, I did try to use the complexions palette as much as possible, but I did have to use some of my other watercolors at times. Like for some of the eyes, like even March's eyes, I used a more bluish gray than just watering down the black. And of course, such like with Dean's hair, or Felicity's hair, or even unnamed girl's hair, which you'll see when it pops up, I had to use my other palette. But of course, like I said, I mostly stuck to using the complexions palette because that was the point of the video. I'm not too terribly satisfied with Boaz. His eyes are too far apart, as I noted. Actually, looking at it now, at least through the screen, the skin color isn't that bad, but yeah, his face looks kind of weird. Same with Allie, I couldn't quite get her hair right, and the white ink did make her skin a little blotchy, so it didn't go on quite as smooth as the others. But I'm just kind of nitpicking because yeah, I like the rest of them quite a lot. I feel like this would be a good time to mention that while most of these names are pretty much set, few of them I'm not so sure about. Estrella, I think she was the one who I kept calling my unnamed character because I could not come up with a name with her, but I think I've settled on it, but I'm not, like, I'm at 99.9%, but I'm not all the way there. Finn is working. Carmen's probably okay. Yeah, I mean, all the rest of them, I guess, are good. And then, of course, we have two of them who don't even have names. So do you recognize Unnamed Girl now? Because she's supposed to be the character from my drive-through challenge that I came up with and then gave her the alien dog. So I'm thinking about turning that into a concept for a comic with like alien pets and yeah, like humans with their alien pets. And I don't know, it's just a cute little idea. It's working now. Of course, I don't have any names yet, except of course the neon guinea pigs, which were not meant to be part of that comic, but then I came up with the idea for that comic after the drive-through challenge, and I think they might fit in there very well. So yes, she is that character. Hey, before we get to the end of this video, I just wanted to let you all know that I now have a Redbubble shop with my original designs. You can get all kinds of apparel and decorations and things for your home. It's growing a bit by bit every day, so it would really mean a lot to me if you check it out. Thanks, and now on to the rest of the video. So I'm putting the finishing touches on the piece with white ink for the eye highlights. And I really like this watercolor set. I highly recommend it if you do portraits in watercolor, or if you have a hard time finding mixing the right color, or you just want a variety of skin tones. It's one I think is great for all watercolorists and not terribly expensive. So I would recommend checking it out. So thank you so much for watching the video, and I'll talk to you later. Bye. Look at it glitters.